Hey there. So you want to dive into gold, huh? Getting ready for this deep dive has been wild. We're going way beyond just the shiny stuff you know. We're going to talk about where it comes from, like way back, how it got to Earth, and how something that old still matters so much today.
I know, right? It's a fascinating story.
We've got some Wikipedia stuff, some insights from Bullion by Post, even a peek at how much gold costs right now.
Should be fun to see where this goes.
You ready to unearth some golden knowledge?
Let's dig in.
All right, so we all know gold when we see it, yeah. That classic shiny yellow. But here's something that blows my mind. Gold is so malleable that a nugget can be hammered into a sheet thinner than aluminum foil.
It's true, and that's actually a big part of why it's so useful. That and the fact that it's such a good conductor. You actually have gold in your phone right now. Yeah, it's in the circuit boards. They use super thin gold wiring because it's so reliable and it doesn't corrode.
Huh, guess that's why my phone feels so heavy, like carrying around a gold bar.
Well, not quite, but you get the idea. Gold's properties make it super useful.
Speaking of properties, how about the fact that the way we see gold, its color, comes from, get this, the way its electrons interact with light.
It's true. It's all about the physics. Gold reflects some wavelengths of light more strongly than others, hence that classic yellow we see.
It's wild. All right, so to get even more wild, though, I had no idea the gold story starts with exploding stars.
It does. We're talking supernovae. When massive stars die, they explode in these huge events called supernovae. Even more powerful, though, are collisions between neutron stars. And these events are so powerful that they actually create gold.
Whoa, hold on. You're telling me that the gold in, my ring was made in a supernova billions of years ago?
It's mind-boggling, right? But yeah, the gold we have today was literally created in these cosmic events.
No way. Okay, that is mind-boggling. So how did gold get from these distant explosions all the way to Earth? It seems like a long trip.
Right. So there are a couple of theories about this.
Yeah, Bullion by Post actually talks about this.
Yeah.
One theory is that asteroids, which we think are often packed with gold from these supernovae, slammed into Earth billions of years ago during what we call the late heavy bombardment period. It was like a cosmic game of billiards, and Earth got caught in the crossfire.
And some scientists think those impacts were even more important than just delivering the gold. They think these impacts actually cracked the Earth's crust, which would have allowed gold from the planet's core to rise to the surface.
So maybe it was a little bit of both.
Exactly, which I think just goes to show how dynamic and powerful the forces that shaped our planet really are.
I know, right? It's insane.
Yep.
Makes you wonder, if we could go back in time to those early days, would we even recognize Earth?
Probably not. It would have been a very different, very alien world. But even amidst all that chaos, those cosmic events were setting the stage for life as we know it, including gold. Speaking of gold's journey across, millennia, let's talk about ancient civilizations and what they did with this precious metal.
Oh, I'm ready to time travel. Take us back to the beginning of humanity's love affair with gold. Where do we start?
Well, there's this place in Bulgaria, the Varna Necropolis. Archaeologists found all these incredibly detailed gold artifacts there. And get this, they're almost 7,000 years old.
Wow, older than the pyramids. That's amazing. What were people even doing with gold back then?
It seems like a lot of those really old pieces were used in, rituals and stuff. Or as symbols of power, status, It's almost like even back then they knew there was something special about gold.
Yeah, it's always been a precious thing, hasn't it? And speaking of ancient civilizations, what about the Egyptians? Weren't they obsessed with gold?
Oh, totally. I mean, gold was everywhere in ancient Egypt. Jewelry, death masks, they even covered the walls of their tombs with it. It was a huge part of their beliefs about the afterlife. They thought it had a connection to the gods.
Wow. So it wasn't just about, looking good, right?
Yeah.
They had actual gold mines back then.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We even have maps of Egyptian gold mines from, get this, 1320 BC. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's like a real-life treasure map.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward to today. Gold is obviously still a big deal, but it's not like we're walking around in gold armor or anything. So what's the story with gold in the 21st century?
Well, it's still a huge part of the global economy, for sure. Although you might be surprised to learn that only about 40% of the gold that's mined today is actually used for investments or currency.
Really? So where's all the gold going then?
Jewelry actually still accounts for about half of the demand for gold. I guess that allure just hasn't faded,
That makes sense. There's something so classic about a gold necklace or a watch.
Exactly. But here's the really interesting part. Something like 10% of the global gold supply actually goes towards industrial uses, especially in electronics.
Oh, right. Like those tiny gold wires in our phones that we were talking about.
Oh.
So even though we don't always see it, gold is actually hidden inside a lot of the technology we use every day.
It's kind of like the invisible backbone of a lot of the modern world. But like we've been saying, every shiny surface has another side, right? And with gold, that includes the environmental impact of how it's mined.
That's a good point. Wikipedia definitely didn't shy away from that.
Yeah.
Gold mining can have a pretty serious impact, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's true. They often use some pretty nasty chemicals to get gold out of the ore, things like cyanide and mercury, and those can really contaminate water sources, harm wildlife, that kind of thing. It can be pretty bad for the ecosystems and communities that are located near these mines.
It's definitely something to think about. It's like a good reminder that even something as seemingly beautiful and valuable as gold can still come with, a hidden cost.
Definitely. It really makes you think about, our relationship with these materials. It's on all of us to push for practices that are more sustainable and ethical.
It really does. It seems like every time we do a deep dive like this, we inevitably bump into these ethical questions. What are your thoughts on that? It's a tough one, right? Like, we obviously want to enjoy things like gold. It's beautiful, it's useful. But not if it means, harming the planet or the people who live on it. It's a balance.
For sure. I think it comes down to being more aware. The more we understand about where things come from, what the real cost is, the better choices we can make.
Totally. It's all connected, Just like those gold atoms were forged in a supernova billions of years ago, our actions today have consequences down the line.
There you go. You're thinking like a true deep diver. It's all about those connections.
Speaking of connections, I found something else in the Wikipedia article that really blew my mind. So we talked about gold in our electronics.
Yeah.
But get this, gold is also used in spacecraft, like outer space.
It's true. It's a really useful material for space exploration. Gold is super resistant to corrosion, which is obviously important in space, and it's also great at reflecting infrared radiation.
So it helps protect astronauts from, the cold and radiation and stuff.
Exactly. They use it in all sorts of ways. Protective coatings on spacecraft, even the visors on astronaut helmets. Pretty wild.
It really is.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, what else will we use gold for in the future?
Right.
Will we discover some new way to use it in medicine? Or energy production? What do you think?
Who knows? I think that's part of what makes gold so fascinating. It's something we've known about for so long, for centuries, millennia even, but it still has these mysteries, We're still figuring out its potential.
That's a great point. I feel like we've gone on such a journey today, from exploding stars to ancient Egypt to outer space. What a deep dive.
It really has been amazing, and it just goes to show that there's so much to learn, even about